All right, good morning everyone. Today we are going to make some granola. So we are going to, first of all, welcome back to Harvest Moon Farm. We are going to make this granola. So I've got a cookie sheet here and I'm going to put a sheet of parchment paper on there. And then we are going to preheat our oven to 300 degrees. We're going to start by mixing our dry ingredients into our bowl here. All right, so we're going to start with some oats. We're going to put 2 cups of oats in our bowl. And then there's 2 cups of pecans, and we want to go ahead and chop those up. Let's see what we've got here. This might be, about 2 cups that I have right here. I'm just going to call this 2 cups that I have left in my bag. And to chop these up, I'm just going to use my food chopper. And I'm just going to lightly chop them. I don't want them into crumbs, but I just want them small enough that they're going to fit well into the granola. You could, of course, always use a knife for this. I should have gotten a bigger cutting board. All right, so I'm going to put those in my bowl. Put those in there with my, wow, I threw pecans everywhere. Put that in there with my oats. And then where you want a teaspoon of cinnamon. The recipe doesn't call for this, but I am going to add just a little bit of salt. Maybe a teaspoon of salt. And then we're just going to stir all of this together. Mix this up really well. Oh, that cinnamon smells good in there. Okay. Now the recipe that I have actually calls for coconut oil, but I do not have any coconut oil, so I am going to substitute butter for that. There are lots of substitutes you can use for coconut oil. It just depends on what you're doing. So you can use just a regular vegetable oil. You can use olive oil, but because I'm going to be baking this, I'm going to use butter. So, and you just do a 1-for-1 swap. So I need a 1/4 cup of butter, and a 1/4 cup of butter would be a 1/2 of a stick. So I've got the equivalent of 2 sticks here. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut this in half and cut it in half again. So there is our 1/4 cup, and then we're going to microwave this until it's melted. That should take just about a minute. Mine is frozen, so it might take a little more than a minute. And then to that, we're going to add our honey, which we need 1/3 of a cup of honey, which again, I'll have to microwave this. You could also use maple syrup instead of honey if you prefer, or if you would like it to be vegan. So our butter is still not melted, so I've put it in for another 30 seconds and we'll see how that looks. Sounds like it's melting. And we want 1/3 of a cup of honey, or like I said, maple syrup if that's what you prefer. And the instructions say to put this in the microwave so that it gets really hot and is very well melted, but since I already had to heat up my honey, it is already melted. So I'm going to whisk the butter and honey together, and then we're going to add a tablespoon of vanilla. Ooh, that smells so good. We're going to whisk this all together, and then we are going to pour it over our dry mixture. We'll make sure we get all that yumminess out. And then I'm just going to stir this together with a wooden spoon. We want to make sure that everything, all of our dry ingredients are covered well with the honey butter mixture. Or the coconut oil, if that's what you're using. This smells really good. Okay, another thing that's not in this recipe that I learned from another YouTube. Actually, there's a little bit of honey left in here. I'm going to add just a little bit of flour to this, even though it's not in the recipe. Just a little sprinkling, maybe a tablespoon. And I'm going to stir that in. This is supposed to help it clump up because I want this to be something that I can break in somewhat larger pieces. I did also freeze dry some blueberries that I may add to some of this once it's totally done and cool. I'll see how it tastes and see. I may add blueberries to part of it and just to give it another flavor. Okay, so now that we have everything mixed, and I just ran the dishwasher and now I've dirtied 100 dishes. That's the way it goes. Okay, so now we're going to pour this mixture out on our cookie sheet. Let's see, did we need to spray this at all? No. Okay. So I'm going to pour this out. I like granola, but it is so expensive to buy it already made in the store. Oh my gosh, this smells good. Okay. So I want to spread this out in a thin layer. Our oven is preheated. All right, so we are going to bake it for about 25 to 30 minutes. Okay, so I've got that in there for 25 minutes. We'll check it after 25 minutes and see how it looks. We want the, oh my gosh, crumbs all over my counter. We want the edges of the granola to just be starting to kind of brown, and then we'll pull it out and we'll let it completely cool, and then we'll break it up in pieces. And I need to find something to put it in. I don't know if I have any more big jars. I'll have to find something that will work. So I'll be back when we're ready to take that out of the oven. All right, so I let them go an extra 3 minutes. And so obviously this is very hot. So we're gonna let it cool for probably 10 or 15 minutes. And then we'll break it into chunks. And I still have to figure out what I'm gonna put it in. But it's got a really nice toasty brown color. I'm excited for it to be cool enough that I can taste it. So when this is cool, I will be back. Okay, I found a jar, so that's good. And this is, ooh, this is nice and cool. So let's taste a little bit of this. Mmm. That is so good. Mmm. Way better than store-bought. It's not as sweet, which of course if you wanted it a little sweeter, you could add more honey or syrup. So I'm going to put this in my jar, and then I will have this to put on, to put on yogurt or whatever I want to add it on. It would be good on ice cream. And this is going to be a lot healthier than the granola that you buy in the store because it doesn't have any preservative. It's just all fresh ingredients that we added ourselves. And I think next time though, I might add a little more flour and see if that holds it together a little bit better. Because as you can see, it's small little clumps, but it kind of breaks up when I touch it. Mmm. All right. So now we've got a half-gallon jar of granola, and it's delicious. And so later this week, we're going to try some of our hamburgers that we freeze-dried. I think I'm going to try and make a lemon cake. I found a recipe that looks amazing. So we're going to make a lemon cake, and I'm not sure what else, but we'll be back when we're ready to work on the next project. All right, so this morning I am going to try my hand at making my own yogurt. Never done this before, so I found a recipe of how to make it in the Instant Pot, which there are 1,000 of them online. So I am going to, this one says to do like quart increments, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. She also says make at least 2 at one time. So I'm gonna get my milk. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do 2 quarts. So I'm gonna pour this in. There's 1. And there's 2. All right, so now the recipe says put the lid on. All right, got the lid on. Now she says press yogurt and then adjust to boil. Let me see. Hold the adjust button. And I want to, oh no. Okay, I have not used this enough and I had to get my glasses so I could see my instructions. Okay, so we want to do yogurt and we want to set it to boil. I gotta find my instructions again. All right, so this is going to start heating our milk and it's going to beep at us once it is at the correct temperature. which will be 180 degrees. So I don't know if I have to hit start. Oh, it looks like it started on its own. All right, so I'll be back when this beeps at me again and we'll do our next step. All right, our milk is at 180 degrees, which is where it needs to be. So now I'm gonna take this out of here and I'm gonna set it here, and we wanna let it cool. We wanna let our milk cool until it reaches about 115 degrees. And when it does, we are going to add our starter. And for my starter, I just bought some plain Greek yogurt, and I wanna add about 10 grams to this milk. So we're gonna let this cool. It's probably gonna take an hour to an hour and a half to get to the temperature that we need. So I'll check it periodically, and once it gets down to temperature, then we'll move on. All right, so our milk is down to 115 degrees. So I've got about a tablespoon of my Greek yogurt here that I'm just gonna stir into my hot milk. I just want to make sure that that's all stirred in. And I actually don't really like plain yogurt, so I'm going to put some vanilla in mine. Let me see. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball it until I think it's enough. It's an experiment, we'll see. That smells good, but I think I need just a hair more. So that was probably maybe 2 tablespoons. All right, so now we're gonna put this back in our Instant Pot. We're going to, let me see here if I can see this without my glasses. We're gonna we're gonna put the lid back on. And we're gonna press yogurt. And we wanna do about 18 hours. All right, so I've got 18 and a half. So we're gonna, oh, no. Oh no, I just messed it up. Okay, so we're at 18 and a half hours. So I'm gonna let that go. And then tomorrow morning, it'll be sometime early tomorrow morning, and we will, all right, so we will check this again tomorrow morning and see how thick it is. And if we want it to be a little bit thicker, then we'll just let it go a little bit longer. All right, so we're gonna get started on dinner. For dinner, we're gonna have some creamy ranch chicken, some brown sugar glazed carrots, and just some little baby potatoes. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the potatoes started. I'm gonna put them in with the chicken, but I wanna pre-cook them in the microwave so I make sure that they're done. So we'll go ahead and just give them a little stab with the fork. We'll put them on our plate, and then we'll put them in the microwave for about 5 or 6 minutes. Make sure that they're done, and then really we'll just put them in with the chicken and sauce and just let the sauce heat through into this. Alright, so I'm going to stick these in the microwave. Okay, so I have 2 chicken breasts here, and I want to clean these up of this extra fat that's on the edges. Let's see. Now I'm going to slice this chicken lengthwise so that they're thinner pieces, because these are really big pieces of chicken and we want these to be not quite so thick. So I'm going to cut them this way, There's that one. And this one I think we can cut just into 2 pieces. All right, so I've got some mostly melted butter here. I'm going to spread that just on one side. Of each piece of chicken. I start off with about 3 tablespoons of butter. Oops. Right, so we're going to sprinkle some salt and pepper on the buttered side of our chicken. Some Italian seasoning. We're going to put some olive oil in our skillet, about 3 tablespoons. And we're going to start heating our pan up. When our pan's hot, we're going to add a couple pieces of chicken in there. We don't want to crowd our pan. So we're going to take our chicken, we're going to take our chicken and we want to place it butter side down. And then we're going to go ahead and season the other side of our chicken while it's in the skillet. And we're going to let these cook without touching them for about 4 or 5 minutes. We want to let them sear on the bottom and get a really nice brown crust on there. So I'm going to let those cook. While that's cooking, I'm going to go ahead and get started on our carrots. So I'm just going to peel some carrots. Got about a pound here. Recipe called for baby carrots, but I have just regular whole carrots. So I'm going to use those. So I'm going to put my peel and my ends in this bag and put it back in the freezer. So I turned our chicken. It's got a really nice brown on the first side, so I flipped it over. So what I'm going to do is just cut these carrots in pieces that are roughly the same size. We want them to cook evenly. Alright, so in our skillet for our carrots, we're going to put 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, a tablespoon of honey, and a teaspoon of allspice. and a half a cup of water. All right, so we're going to take this chicken out of our skillet. Oh, look at that. Let's add a little more oil. And then we're going to take our other 2 pieces of chicken, put them in, butter side down. And then we'll season the other side of these 2 pieces of chicken. All right, for our carrots, we're going to bring this mixture to a boil. Now that our mixture is boiling, we're going to go ahead and add our carrots to it. And we're going to stir this up so that our carrots get coated in this mixture. And then we're just going to let these cook about 7 or 8 minutes until our carrots are done. All right. So now to our pan where we had our chicken, we are going to add, all right, the recipe calls for a can of cream of chicken soup. All I have is cream of celery, so that's what we're using. Cup and a half of milk, half a teaspoon of onion powder, and then you can either use a regular packet of ranch, like dressing mixing. I've got some homemade ranch seasoning here. I'm going to use about 3 tablespoons. I'm going to stir up my container a little bit. And I want a cup of sour cream. I don't have that much sour cream, so I'm going to use just some plain Greek yogurt. I'm going to get a whisk and we're going to mix this up. Oh, I'm spilling everywhere. I did burn my carrots just a little bit, so you definitely want to watch those. I'm just going to cut my little potatoes in half. They are completely done now. All right, so we're going to put our chicken back in the sauce. We just want to make sure that it's covered on both sides. Like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my potatoes in here as well. Make sure they get covered. Just kind of scoot those around until they're down around the chicken. Like that. And I'm just going to cover this up kind of halfway. All right, so it's too bad that I burned the carrots because I think they would be delicious because they do taste burned. Let me try again. Yeah, I burned the sugar. Bummer.
Yes.
Oh well. Alright.
That still tastes good.
So let's give this chicken and sauce a bite. Ooh, it's hot. Mmm. Oh my. Ooh, that's really good.
It is good, man.
That's really good. Alright. So we're gonna eat our chicken and potatoes. The carrots may or may not get eaten since they got a little burned. I'm gonna try this recipe again when I can focus on the carrots, and we'll see how that turns out. All right, so we're gonna go eat our dinner, and we'll be back when we're ready to do our next recipe. All right, our time is up on our yogurt, so let's take a look at it. Ooh. Oh, it smells really good. Let's see here. And I think it's the right thickness because it's going to thicken up as it cools more. Let's give it a taste, even though I don't like plain yogurt really. That's pretty good. It's pretty sour. I think I might add some honey so that it's not quite so sour. I just want to cut that sour just a little bit. So let's pour a little bit of honey in here. Ooh. All right, let's try it again. Maybe a little more. It's really sour. Whoa, that might be too much. All right, let's try this again. One more time. Oh, that's better. That's really good. All right. So now I need to get some jars to put this in. All right, so I've got some clean quart jars. All right, so I'm going to use this to scoop this out. I'm kind of making a mess. All right, so I'm gonna put my lids, maybe, I'll put my lid on this. All right, so now I've got 2 jars of delicious homemade yogurt. I'm gonna put this in the fridge so that it will cool, and once it's cool, it'll be a lot thicker. And then we'll probably give it a try later with some of our homemade granola. All right, so that's gonna do it for this week's video, or for this video, I guess I should say. All right, so I just wanna thank you guys for spending your time with me while we make these recipes. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button so that I can see, throw a comment in the comment section, and share it with your friends. And I will see you guys on the next video.